my fellow readers. Today I am going to be talking about a new nonfiction book, and that is The Anthropocene Reviewed by John Green. And if you've been online or in the book world, you have probably heard about this book already. I did pre-order the book. This is the signed first edition of the book. What to say about The Anthropocene Reviewed? So The Anthropocene Reviewed is based on the podcast that John did called The Anthropocene Reviewed, in which John, which, I mean, you could too, took a look at varying parts of this human age, which is what the Anthropocene is. It's our human age and the impact of humans on the world, and would review it. So he would put his own personal touch on it, as you do with reviews, as I'm doing right now. This is my personal opinion on the Anthropocene Reviewed. And yeah, you would tell the stories and review them. And this is that in book form. So there are stories within here. For example, right on this page right here is a quick little review on autographs and signed books. And then within the book, you'll see it's broken down into little chapters, but each chapter is a story or a review. And this is quite a departure from what people are probably used to with a John Green book, where it's the fiction that, deals with issues in a fictional manner, drawing from real life. This is nonfiction. These are events that happened in real life and get reviewed here. What else to say about it? I actually loved this book. I'm surprised at how much I loved it. Well, semi-surprised, because I did tune into some of the live streams, the one in particular where John was reading some of the stories that, this is long before it became what it became, but it was some of the stories that might make it into the book. And I knew I had a good time listening to those, so I wasn't totally surprised by how much I liked it, but I was quite surprised. I think because of the emotions and the reflection that it especially dealt with, what humanity has dealt with this past year and a half, and it's totally reflected here, but also not completely defined by that occurrence. There are other stories here. It's a very humanistic book, whether that's for good or for bad. It shows our highs and also some of our lows, and I guess I just really love that. I love the quality of hearing these stories and an awful and really with the personal spin on them. I love hearing how some of these stories impacted him personally, why they were important enough to review and put in here. Why should we know and share these stories? What is the value here? Even if in this case the value is the value he attributed it to it, can we find value in that from his story? And I hope that makes sense. I mean, it's very hard to explain just how I felt while reading these and getting that emotional sense. But that is my sense. It was like the value of these stories and these lessons that we can learn, whether it's an historical event or a personal event. What can we learn about ourselves in this human age that we have created, for good or for bad? And that's what this book does. And it shouldn't surprise anybody that this ended up on the bestsellers list because it's John Green, but I think that this has a bit more staying power than even the fiction stories, because this is the universal human story in many ways. You know, it's those feelings that we get and that we share on things that we have created amazingly, or accomplishments that we have done. And by we, I just mean humans in general, that are to be celebrated and that shows what we're capable of, but then also just the lows that we're capable of in destroying parts of this world that we live in, and how we're a salvation and also the biggest threat to this world, and to ourselves. And I don't know. It is that all-encompassing feeling. Like everything is so large and beyond us, and yet at the same time a part of us. Yeah, it's so hard to talk about. But I did love so much about this. Some of the stories, I don't know. It's so hard to define. Do yourself a favor if you're at all like on the fence about it, and give a watch to the Anthropocene Reviewed Animated that was posted on the Vlogbrothers channel. I will try to link it down below. But I think you get a good starting point from listening to that. And if that at all interests you, you'll probably enjoy the rest of the book. I think you would enjoy this book anyway. I think that this book can reach so many people and interest so many people, because this is us. Not the popular NBC series, but us, humanity. This is us. It's a small fraction of us and what we do, but it is us. And it's so interesting. It pulls you in. How do you add your personal flavor to a review that you are reviewing? So I just want to mention, one of the reviews in here is for scratch and sniff stickers. And I don't know how widely they're used anymore, but as a kid, there was nothing better than the scratch and sniff stickers. And, you know, his chapter just made me smile, but also think back to when I was a kid, and I could almost smell, like it brought back so many, like it was just so evocative of youth that I could almost smell those scratch and sniff stickers. And I actually did go on to Amazon to see if I could find any scratch and sniff stickers that I would want to buy. I did not buy any yet, but that was the kind of I don't know, like just connection that I felt to that story, where it really hit home for me too. And to get those feelings that I had as a kid, you know, when you'd get a scratch and sniff sticker on your paper, and it was like you didn't want the sticker to be ruined because you wanted to be able to take it out and put it in your sticker book at home. I actually do have still a sticker book, which I think John might have mentioned too, that he still has his book from when he was a kid with the stickers in it. And I don't have the earliest ones because my sister and I kind of shared one, and I don't know whatever happened to that one. But I do have ones from probably when I was like 10 in there. And I love looking at the old stickers, and I still love stickers to this day. I'm more of a sticker fan. I actually feel bad like using the sticker because I love them so much. So I can use it on something if I know I'm going to see it again, or if I've bought it specifically for a gift for something. But there are many times where I'm just like, I'm just going to keep it on the sheet and look at it. So I do have a binder that's still full of stickers that I hesitate to use because I like them as a collector. But see, that's like all these things that one little story within this book brought up to me. It just brought up all of those feelings that I had about being a kid and the stickers, but then on top of that, the the cream of the crop, the best ones, the scratch and sniff. And just that, let's see if it really smells like that. And you'd scratch it and you'd sniff it. And some of them were so good and some of them were so bad. But I loved it so much that, yeah, seeing that story, I was like, I know I wasn't the only one. Rise up, fellow nerds. I loved it. It brought me such joy reading that part. And a little bit of nostalgia. And yeah. And so if you ask me to review this book, I'm going to give The Anthropocene Reviewed 4.5 stars. And on top of that, one I did not talk about, this was a book I did not only enjoy the print version of, but also the audiobook version. And I'm going to just say flat out, I think that you should listen to the audiobook version. One, you get like 3 extra stories in there. The last 2 in particular, I absolutely loved, and both nearly made me cry. One was about a bird that I believe is now extinct, and the other was John's vaccination story. And so both of those really made me want to cry. Not totally in sadness. Some of it was just bringing up the same feelings of trying to climb out of this whole thing, but also thinking about the impact on the rest of the world, and how here in America, the US that I am, yeah, we are pushing forward, and we were able to buy out most of the vaccines and get our people vaccinated. Yay for us. But there's a whole global community that exists outside of us that either does not have that option because we bought them out, or doesn't have the option because they weren't rich enough. And there is much to be said that when we are all in it in bad times, we should be all in it for the good times, which means that we should feel a responsibility for making sure that we're all taken care of and getting out of this bad state. And I don't know what that's going to look like, but hopefully we are going to take some positive turns and help get the whole world up and back on its feet. So yeah, I'm going to say that the audiobook is well worth it. Even if you don't normally do audiobooks, I would recommend this one. And you can read along to the audiobook and then just maybe listen to the couple of chapters that are not printed in the print edition, because they're so enjoyable. And this is a book that if you have the print version, you're probably going to hear it read to you in John Green's voice without listening to the audiobook. So why not just listen to the audiobook, and then you'll get the full effect of it. And that being said, because I loved it so much, and the stories took on an even more impactful sense in the audiobook version, I would give the Anthropocene Reviewed audiobook 5 stars. It just hit me at the right time. It was what I needed to read at that moment, and I think that it could be the same for a lot of people, because we've just been so loud on my street. It's just been a very dark time for all of us, a time that we've all been working through, and I think that this is a book that we need right now, and I appreciated it very much. So I hope that you like that and that you will give it a try. That is it for this video. Until next time, bye.